I'm doing well, Joe. My favorite play for Thursday is the Florida Gators minus the 6.5 against Maryland. The Crab Five is fantastic. They're fun to watch, but that's really all that Maryland has. Now, their bench guys can play defense, but they're not really great scorers. That limited bench strength, I think, is going to play a huge role in this game. Even though I'm taking Florida minus 6.5, I do think it's going to be a close one. I think it's going to come down to free throws at the end of the game. And if Florida makes those, they should win this one by 7+. The basketball world seemed to really write off the Gators after a bad showing against UConn. But Dan Hurley is one of the best coaches in basketball, no matter how you feel about him. He knows how to get his guys ready to go. And they played really well against Florida. They were physical. They made it into a Big East style game, and that was not something the Gators were very accustomed to. But I look at that one as a Florida bettors team that found a way to come through when they had absolutely nothing. And that's really impressive. When Florida plays to its standard, they are definitely the second best team in this tournament behind Duke. They have the capability of winning a national championship. And Walter Clayton is just one of the best guards in the country. I think he's going to have a huge game against Maryland. My biggest issue was with him against UConn. Did have some unforced turnovers early in the game, not something that we want to see. But when he's protecting the basketball, this Florida team is really good. The big fight is going to be down low between Derek Queen and Alex Condon. I think that's one that Queen's probably going to win, but if Florida can contain him, obviously they put themselves in a really good chance to win. It takes don't turn the ball over, make your threes, obviously make your free throws, and if Florida gets back to what they were doing in the regular season, they should be just fine. It's just awesome what we've come to. I mean, we're playing Sweet 16 games at football stadiums. You really can't beat that. I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of the football, basketball games, but I'll take it any day of the week. This is going to be a fun one here. And I will be taking the points with the Kentucky Wildcats plus 4.5. They've shown they can beat Tennessee twice this season. Now, it's really hard to beat a superior team 3 times who is healthier and a higher seed than you. So I do think Kentucky has their work cut out for them. But they have proven to me that they can play with Tennessee, and that is why I will be taking those 4.5 points. Mark Pope's really worked wonders with this team. Now, going through Kentucky Wildcats basketball Twitter last week, they expected to get knocked out in the second round of the NCAA tournament, but they're still here after Jackson Robinson's season-ending hand injury. That was a major loss, and I think Kentucky fans really took a step back and said, hey, this just isn't going to be our year. But right now, 2 wins away from the Final Four, and anything can happen. When you look at their defense, that's my biggest fear, 46 in the Ken Pom rankings. That could be an issue in this one, but again, they've proven that they can play with Tennessee. They need to make their free throws because in the games against Tennessee earlier this year, they were not great, still found a way to pull through. But if they do that, I think they can keep this one close, honestly. They have to do what they've been doing. That's play really hard defense and, make their shots and be efficient from the field. But they're playing well and they're getting hot at the right time, where Tennessee, not saying they're not playing well, but Kentucky's had their number all season, so definitely worth taking the 4.5 points. I'll say this, Joe. I made a video talking about how bad Michigan State is at basketball after the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament. Michigan State fans, they are wild. I said they can't make free throws. Obviously, they can make free throws. One of the best free throw shooting teams alive. But last weekend was not a good showing. I said they start slow. Last weekend, they started slow. And the bigger picture of that is if they start slow against the teams they're going to play this weekend, they will not be in the NCAA tournament for long. You can get away with it against Bryant in New Mexico. Nothing against New Mexico. They're a great basketball team, but it's not an Ole Miss. It's not going to be a 1 seed in Auburn, right? There's a lot of tough basketball ahead for Michigan State. So the bottom line is they have to start slower, or start faster, not slow. With that being said, I can't bet against Tom Izzo in March. I think he's going to find a way to get this team back to where they need to be. Sean Padulas had back-to-back 20-point games in the tournament for Ole Miss. He's shooting very well from 3-point range. They cannot let him get going early in this game because the one thing that Michigan State does not have is that consistent 3-point shooting offense. So if this becomes a shootout, it really does favor Ole Miss. Again, trust Izzo to clean up the mistakes here. Jace Richardson was just 10% from the field in their last game. He's going to be better. We know that. We know they're going to be better from the free throw line. Hopefully they can hold on to the ball a little better than they did. And if they do that, they are clearly the better team here. But Ole Miss is playing well. So out of my 4 bets, this is definitely the one I'm most weary of. But again, Izzo in March, fixing the mistakes they had last week, I think they're going to do it and find a way to cover this number. I like Michigan plus the 8.5 here. I mean, the Auburn versus Creighton score really doesn't resemble how close of a game that was. Yep. Auburn is very close to getting knocked out of this tournament if a few things went well for Creighton. Obviously, credit to Auburn. They found ways to make plays down the stretch. But Michigan has the team to beat them. I'm not saying they're going to, but 8.5 points is a slightly disrespectful number in my mind. nobody's really given the Wolverines any respect coming into this one. They have two of the best big men in the game, probably one of the best combos you're going to find in Vladislav Golden and Danny Wolf. But the biggest reason that, I feel comfortable betting Michigan here is just Dusty May. You look at what he did against with FAU back in 2023 with absolutely no resources, taking that team to the Final Four, being one basket away from going to the national championship game. Now he has resources with a better team, and they are finding themselves at the right time. They're showing the ability to come from behind in games, which is huge. And when you look at Auburn with Janai Broome, he's been a little up and down as of late, and this team overall has been up and down in their past few games. So I do like Michigan plus the 8.5. I think that's just too big of a number.
Tanner, as always, incredible stuff, man. Really appreciate you coming on. Thanks for the time.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Follow him on Twitter at TannerKern_. Great picks, great content, as always. Speaking of picks and content, more picks, more winners, more cashing out with Joe Serralo up next.